And we'll start to say hello and welcome to one of the most important campaigns and efforts that Kechtel does throughout the entire year. This is the Mail as Promise Keepers campaign. We're so excited to get this started. We've been planning on this for months, actually years, and we're so excited that you're here. We're going to wait a few minutes while other people join, but we do have several board members here, and I'll just introduce them. I know Azim has worked hard organizing this, so thank you, Azim, for your hard work in helping to put this together. And Azim is from Pakistan. We have Guguni here with us today from Kenya, and I know he's been working very hard on the Mail as Promise Keepers campaign. And would you like to say something, Guguni?
Yes, Sherry. Thank you so much, Sherry. I'm super excited about the webinar today. Looking forward to the conversation. Hello, everyone. Hello, fellow board members. Hello, Kechtel colleagues from different parts of the world. Like Sherry has mentioned, my name is Wycliffe Guguni. My background is in innovation management and business entrepreneurial community building. I've been with Kechtel since 2017, first as a colleague working in the board and right now building the alumni and supporting the Kechtel Mail Promise Keepers campaign through the Mail Promise Keeper podcast series, which I'm running. It's an 8-episode series running throughout this year. And I'm looking forward to the conversation, looking forward to you guys spreading this word as you listen in, be ambassadors of the Mail Promise Keeper campaign in your respective regions, at the workplace, in school, and at home to recruit more males to be ambassadors and keep the word spreading far and wide. Thank you so much. Back to you, Sherry.
Yes, oh, thank you. And Azim, would like to make some comments also, opening comments.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Males as Promise Keeper campaign. This is the most crucial and important campaign that we, being a Kechtel, we started in 2017. So this is something that in developing countries we need to look into it, and we need to deep dive into it to equally promise the males and the females to protect our society, to protect our females. So I'm very excited for this session, and thank you so much, Sherry, for everything, and for this webinar as well.
Okay, fantastic. Good. And we have Gohar from Armenia.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to see you here. We have a lot of people from different countries, and of course, we have males and we have females. And today we are going to speak something very important. Thank you very much for my colleagues to ask them to organize this webinar, and I'm sure it will be very interesting for you all. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, perfect. We have Alexandra from Ukraine, also a Kechtel board member.
Hello everyone. I'm not sure if you can see me. I had some issues with my camera, but I'm so happy to be here today with you. It is such a big pleasure to welcome all of you today to this important webinar. As already mentioned, my colleague and Ma'am Sherry and our team know about all challenges around the world that young people facing in different countries, and I'm sure that today's topic that our speakers will be discuss, it's really important to know, to be aware, and also take some actions that we can do together. And remember that together we are stronger, together we can change the story. And I believe this webinar will motivate you to change the story in your community, in your country. So thank you for being with us today, and hope that you will take a lot of insights from this webinar.
Okay, thank you, Alexandra. I think we have Alex here from Nigeria. Alex, over to you.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so I'm very happy and excited to be here, and I really hope it's the same for everyone. This is actually a very unique webinar, and I really want to assure every one of us that we are going to we're going to get very we're going to get impacted, because the Mail as Promise Keeper is actually one of those unique moments where uh, we we get to empower the males, we get to empower every young man out there to build a world where there's respect, where there's protection, equality. We get to have this thing at the heart of our community. So make sure you get to listen, make sure you get to write things down. And when you go out there, make sure you get to make the light shine.
Yes, thank you, Alex. And I believe we have Remina here from Papua New Guinea. I saw her a moment ago. I don't know if she's still with us. Okay, Ahmad from Afghanistan. Would you like to make a comment?
Hi, Sherry. Hi, everyone. My apologies because unfortunately my internet is a bit poor. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Obviously, Mail as Promise Keeper campaign is one of the most important event. Mostly Kektel annually do that. So in this event, actually, what we are going to promise as males that obviously will protect the females in our community, in our society. Actually, both male and female, they need to be protected, they need to be respected, and especially those who are underage, and especially those who are in fragile countries, those who are in need of support. So we have to keep in our mind that we have to protect them, we have to support them, we have to avoid any violence, and it's really mandatory. And thank you, everyone, for joining, and I hope that this session be even more informative. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Okay. And Guguni is on. Guguni, can you please send Zolani the Zoom address again? The Zoom link.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually chatting him at the moment, just
Okay. Yes, if you can help get him on, that'd be awesome. Okay, we're just trying to wait for people to come in now. And we have Roderick Otali here from Zambia. Roderick, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lodrick Mtale from Zambia, and I'm very excited to be part of the webinar. So actually, I have my pen and also my notebook as well. So I'll be taking notes, just trying to better myself as well. Actually, this is one of the most important, I think, topics because it helps make a world a better place. Once men are better, I think they tend to better the community. So this is also one of the most important topics, and I'm very interested also just to learn more so that I can better myself. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Great. Well, welcome to what we have said is one of the most important meetings that we have all year, is where we focus on males as promise keepers. And this idea actually came to me in 2016, 2017. And that's when I was in Kenya. I was visiting Kenya, thinking about starting the Kektel program. So think about how long that was. That was 8 years ago. And so I met Guguni there for the first time. And Guguni and some others took me to the slum area of Kibera, right outside Nairobi. And when I was there, I was meeting with some people who were helping the females in the Kibera area. And there was a nonprofit there, and there's of course a very bad problem of young girls getting pregnant way underage. And it's basically an example of a child having a child. And they when they grow up, there's a certain point where you have to start paying for the education. Their parents can't afford education. This is very early on in their life. So they stop going to school, which means they start wandering around the streets. And then the first thing they find is either a sugar daddy or some male who is going to give the young girl a very small amount of money, and all of a sudden the girl gets pregnant. And I thought that was really something that we needed to work on at the Kechtel program. And as I was talking to the nonprofit that was working with the females, I said, well, what do you do? How do you try to crack that? That's a huge problem. That's a huge, huge, huge problem. And it's taking place in all developing countries. How do you stop young female pregnancy outside of marriage, outside of a commitment? And they said, well, what we do is we have a drama program. We teach them how to be in plays, and we teach them how to use pottery and make coffee cups, and they can learn how to sing or something like that. And so that takes up their time. And I thought about that, and I thought, that's insane. You're not going to attack a problem like young female pregnancy by teaching a girl how to make a coffee cup. That makes no sense. And I said, are you speaking to the young males about the issue? And they looked at me just shocked, like we would never talk to males about females getting pregnant. And I said, well, who do you think gets the female pregnant? Females don't get themselves pregnant. A young girl cannot get pregnant unless a male does that to her. So if you talk to the males and you tell the males, protect the girls in your community, be a protector. Males are born with a natural genetic instinct to protect their community. It's inbred by nature because we need males to be protected. They're strong, and they need to be able to protect the whole community. And even in times of war or conflict or something, it's the males that do it. That protective spirit needs to be used to protect the females in the community, not to abuse the girls in the community. And I said, you're talking to the wrong group. Instead of talking to girls and telling them how to be in a play or make a coffee cup, you need to be talking to the males, and you need to teach the males to honor this protective instinct they have, and to band together and to protect all the girls in their society from underage marriage, from abuse, from domestic abuse, and from other situations that could be really harmful to them. So that's where it started. And I said, no, we have to go out and we have to focus on males as promise keepers, keeping in mind the most wonderful aspects of malehood, which is your ability to protect and defend, and use that wonderful ability to protect the females in your community. And it's an obligation which should be on every male in every community. Some of you may know that we ran a survey early this year on a number of issues facing youth all over the world. And one would think that in the Kechtel program, that the youth leaders who come to Kechtel are more enlightened than, I'd say, the general population of youth, because they want youth training, they want leadership. And it was very interesting to see what their answers were when we talked about gender balance and we talked about these female issues. And I think Goharik is going to share. We're going to share 2 slides that came out of the Kechtel Youth Speak. Gender balance, attitudes and beliefs here. Okay. The first one, gender-based violence exists in my home country society. 83% of over 2,000 youth who answered this in developing countries around the world, who are Kechtel colleagues, said that gender-based violence exists in my home country. 83% said yes. Okay. 75% said cultural or tribal traditions influence gender equality in my home country. 64% said in my home country, society believes that unwanted pregnancies are the female's fault. Oh my gosh, this is exactly what I talked about in Kenya. How do women, that is impossible because females don't get themselves pregnant. So in my home country, society believes that unwanted pregnancies are the female's fault, 64%. And these are of Kektel colleagues. We've got a lot of work to do. 54% males are preferred for job opportunities in my home country. 51% females have fewer rights and opportunities than males in my home country. 48%, almost half of the people, Kektel colleagues in developing countries who answered this survey said my home country accepts toxic masculinity, which is violence and anger against females. Almost 50%. That's shocking. That's a shocking number. Okay. 28%, only 28% said my home country provides support for unwed mothers. And then only 21% said in my home country, society believes that unwanted pregnancies are the male's fault. So look at those two things. Okay. And there's the next page on this. Unwanted pregnancy. And there's a deep societal belief that if a young girl gets pregnant, it's her fault and it's her problem, it's her punishment. So only 21% of the Kektel colleagues who answered this survey said that it was the male's fault if a female gets pregnant. I think obviously that's physically impossible. In my home country, society believes that unwanted pregnancy are the female's fault. 64% said it's the female's fault. And so what we're seeing is a situation where males get young females pregnant, but then they say, oh, it's not my fault. You know, she was asking for it, or she was dressing the wrong way, or she wasn't behaving properly. And that's what she wanted. I mean, and that was just shocking to me, because when this happens, the male kind of is able to disappear into society, go away, never see the girl again, has no idea actually if she even got pregnant or not. And then all of a sudden the next day, the girl realizes, or the next month, the girl realizes she's pregnant, and she could be 12 to 14 or 15 years old. She could be very young. That changes her entire life. She's now a young child with a baby living inside of her. And she has to, sometimes she may get kicked out of her own house because that may be a problem, an embarrassment to her family, or her family doesn't feel like it has the money to pay for her and her own child and any medical care associated with it. The girl could end up being out on the street. And then after the girl's on the street, if it's seen that she's very pregnant and she can't take care of the baby, the government might take the baby away from her and put it in an orphanage. And if you do that, you've broken the bond between a mother and a child, even though the mother is a child herself. So think about all the problems, and that affects the girl's ability to have an education, the ability for the girl to, to have a normal life, to get married, to have children, etc. So this is it's a huge, huge issue. And this is something that we want to talk about, and we want to keep this campaign going. And it's not just about pregnancy, it's also against domestic abuse. And it's about protecting the females in your community. So with that introduction, Guguni, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you talk a little bit about what you're doing on the Male as Promise Keepers campaign. And I know, and then I'm even going to let you introduce our first speaker, Michael Kishoyan. And Michael, we're so proud to have you here with us today. You're a leader, again, some of the things we've talked about, including female pregnancy, as well as certain tribal customs against females, like female genital mutilation, which everyone should be against. So Guguni, over to you. If you would like to make a few comments and then introduce our first speaker, please.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for that wonderful remarks and insightful ones to set base for this conversation that we're about to have today. And like Sherry has mentioned, is that we were involved in building this campaign right from the beginning, and we thought that there's a problem from the fact that the leadership in the society is not responsible in coming to take up responsibility. And what maketh a man is the ability to take responsibility and be in charge and see things that are going in the right manner. So this campaign has been running, and we've been sending out information for people to sign in writing. But this year we've moved a notch higher to have this as a conversation beyond just reading a document. And part of the conversation is about organizing webinars such as this one, which Azim led in putting together. And another part of the conversation is the Male Promise Keeper podcast series. This is an 8-episode series, which is having conversation with male and female figures on male being allies in supporting women against gender-based harm. And when we talk about gender-based harm, we're not just looking about pregnancy, we're talking about female genital mutilation. We're having conversation about gender-based and physical violence. We are even having conversations about short-term marriages, which is a concept we've been learning recently about girls who are married to rich tycoons for a short period of time, and their families are paid a particular amount of money. And then after that time is over, these girls are disposed. So they are being used as property for earning money. And these are issues that are affecting women. And I think men need to be allies and to stand in the forefront in protecting women against this harm. So our approach, like Sherry has mentioned, is not about looking at it as a war between two genders, but it is looking at is how can these two genders cooperate to build a better society. Now, when you look at development, sometimes you look at it in terms of setting up better structures, building infrastructures and so forth and so on. But in the essence of development is the family unit, which is the basic unit of society. If families are broken, then you cannot experience true development and prosperity within a country. And this campaign goes to the extent of protecting the family unit of society. If children are raised well, I am a father, by the way, I am raising 3 boys together with my wife. And if these children are not raised in a proper structure, they will develop with mental health issues. They are going to have problems with their education. And at the end of the day, they cannot contribute to the highest level of their potential to the society. And at the end of the day, development in that kind of society with broken families is not likely to be experienced how it should be. And that is why this campaign is very important, because it touches at the core of what development is, right from the basic unit of society. I've shared a link on the chat about a feature that I came across, which is looking at the same area where Sherry had mentioned, Kibera in Kenya. Now looking at the male fathers who have been given children by the girlfriends who they impregnated, and now they're raising the children by themselves, and they're sharing their side of the story. So that is something you can take 9 or so minutes to look after this webinar and get to see how males are also experiencing this on the other side. So it tells you it is not right to get anyone pregnant or to get pregnant before you are done with your education. You've gotten a better skills and do it in the right way. So that's the bottom line. So allow me to take this opportunity also to invite you to visit the podcast, the Kektil podcast, because episode 1 of the Male Promise Keeper campaign is out and it has been uploaded for you to get to listen to. Actually, the 2 speakers who will be speaking today have been featured in the first episode. That is HRH Zolani Nkiva and Michael Kishoyan, together with David Lemiso, who are doing incredible work. So at this juncture, I want to take this opportunity to welcome Michael Kishoyan. I have known Michael Kishoyan right now for around 4 years. I first met Michael Kishoyan in a training that we organized in Kektil, Kenya, and he registered as a colleague in the training on design thinking. And at that time, Kishoyan was just setting up his foundation, and he was so determined to change things in his community because he has lived the experiences where women are experiencing gender-based harm. They're being violated physically, emotionally, and even they are going through FGM, and even women are being denied property. And he has seen real time, even within his family, girls being denied the right to access education. And that was the motivation for him to set up the foundation. And he has done incredible work within his community. He has helped girls access education. He has stopped FGM practices amongst girls within his community. And because of that, he was selected to join the UNFPA panel. Because of that, he has been in the National Committee for Gender Affairs, supporting government in developing policies that will protect women on such kind of matters. He has achieved so much for himself and so much for his community. He's such an inspiration. And at this juncture, I want to welcome Michael Kishon. Help me put your hands together for Michael. Over to you, Michael.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. That was really an amazing introduction from you, Guguni. I know it has been quite a great journey knowing you and being part of KECTIL. My name is Michael Kishoyan, as you've heard from the introduction. I'm from Narok County in Kenya, which is a pastoralist county in the northern part of the country. As you've heard, representing Narok County at the UNFPA Youth Advisory Panel, whereby I'm championing for the rights of youth and adolescents on matters sexual reproductive health and also elimination of harmful practices like FGM and child marriages. I also run a community-based organization called Ereto Natupa that I registered and founded in 2022 when I was part of the KECTIL Youth Kenya community training on design thinking. And since then, we've been able to achieve quite an incredible milestone whereby we've been able to reach out to 5,000 community members so far with our communication and also with our impact. And I'm also the network coordinator for SDSN Youth Kenya, which is Sustainable Development Solutions Network, whereby we are trying to also alleviate the essence of sustainable development goals and among the young people. I'm so glad to be part of this conversation, and I'm looking forward to a great discussion amongst us. Thank you so much, and back to you, Guguni.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's such an honor to have you. We're looking forward to inspiring stories of the real work that you've done on the ground to inspire colleagues from different parts of the world on how they can take action to address the challenges that they're facing within the communities. And that's super courageous. Thank you so much. So I want to make a follow-up on the second speaker, but before I do that, I'd like to hand it back to Sherry.
It'd be great to ask Michael some questions. First, I think Guguni sets the right tone when we launch our Male as Promise Keepers campaign. It might be considered that we're bashing males or telling males don't do something or you're the problem or something. And we think that's the opposite. We think what we're doing with the Male as Promise Keepers campaign is really going to the best part of males, which is their protective instinct. And we're saying we vitally need wonderful, well-trained males in our society to help protect females, to help protect the family, to help allow females to grow to their best capacity. And it's only when you have a society where both males and females are healthy, mentally healthy, and working to their best capacity that you get a healthy society and healthy children. So KECTIL in no way is bashing males in the Male as Promise Keepers campaign. We're raising males up and saying thank you for displaying all of the best qualities that you have and working with your friends and realizing that you're here for a reason, which is to protect and defend and to help females. Now, Michael, I would love to hear a little bit more about the work that you do in Kenya. And in particular, I know you are a very zealous anti-FGM advocate. So can you tell us, what are you seeing in some of the tribal areas in Kenya? And what are you working on? What are you trying to do about it?
Thank you so much. What I can say is that, let me start by saying that in 2006, I was a young boy. I witnessed FGM, whereby I remember putting on my elder sister's clothes so that I could disguise myself as a girl. Before then, FGM could be celebrated in my community. It was like a celebration, like something like it's embraced by the community. And I remember they organized a ceremony whereby my male cousins were being cut, but alongside my female cousin was now being also cut. And I saw FGM being performed. And that really, I didn't have the power, and I didn't have the knowledge that I could, speak for this young girl. So growing up as a boy, like I realized the impact of FGM, and since then I said that under my watch I will not witness FGM again being performed on girls, because I could remember this cousin of mine trying to cry, trying to scold because it was so much painful. And 4 women were handling her, 4 women were sitting her down, and 1 was cutting. And so I vowed and said that with the little knowledge and the influence I have to defend the rights of women and girls in Narok County. And that is why I decided to become a male promise keeper in my community, because as much as I'm teaching girls to the rights or maybe the impacts of FGM, I'm also trying to embrace male engagement and inclusion in terms of these conversations, which is very, very much important, because Kenya and Africa is a patriarchal society, or it's a patriarchal continent, whereby most of the decisions are from the male. And we're trying also to bring men on board so that they can be able to speak and also to defend the rights of their daughters, the rights of their sisters, the rights of their wives, and also those of the nieces, and also any female that they are related with. So since that, we have been able to roll out programs which include male engagement and inclusion, like the gatekeepers, whereby we bring all the community gatekeepers together, capacity build them, talk to them about the impact of FGM, and also release them as now change agents in the community, whereby they can be able to use their influence, their leadership positions to say that there is no, or maybe we don't want FGM. We've been able to achieve much impact, because I can say Narok County record in 2014, Narok County recorded 78% of FGM prevalence, but as of now we are at 51% according to KDHS 2022. I'm sure when we have another Kenya Demographic Health Survey again, I'm sure that FGM has reduced to a lower percentage. And now I've said that we've been able to create awareness about female genital mutilation. Another thing is that we've been able to train girls to use their voices to shun or maybe become against FGM, because I'm of this idea that something cannot happen to me, to my body, without my consent. And this is the information that we are instilling to these young girls, that indeed you have that power to decide and also to say that I don't want this FGM to happen on me, because I understand the impacts of FGM. And also we've also been able to foster partnerships. We've been able to partner with several organizations, just to bring that synergy and also with the government to champion against female genital mutilation. And we've been able to, in our database, we've been able to reach out to 5,000 people, community members in Narok County, with the information about female genital mutilation. We've also been able to save our girls from FGM. Some of them have run or maybe have sought rescue or maybe refuge in my home. And we've been able to take them back to their parents, have a discussion between the four of us, the mother, the father, the daughter, and I. Now, all of us talking about FGM. Why don't we need FGM at this particular century? Or maybe why is FGM not needed anymore? So we've been able to save many girls from FGM. And as we speak, I'm part of the committee that is setting up a safe house in Narok County, whereby women and girls can be able to seek refuge. Whichever form of gender-based violence, women and girls can be able to get help. We are partnering with the police, with the county government, with the civil society organizations in Narok, whereby once a woman or girl comes to this rescue center, we can be able to track and also follow the justice route. The justice, or maybe the legal way, will become very short, because we are also trying to partner with the judiciary, because we've set up also. I'm glad to say that in our county we've also set up a court users committee specifically for FGM and gender-based violence on women and girls. So women and girls can now attain and get these services free of charge, because we see that many of them do not have the financial power to defend their rights in the legal way. So right as at now, we are now able to champion and also follow up with the court system free of charge for these women and girls to get justice. And so that is the milestone that we've been able to make in Narok County, just to trying to defend the rights of women and girls. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Wow. Congratulations on that amazing work. Yeah, you're a wonderful role model for everyone who's on this call to take. And I know it's hard because this may be primarily the Maasai community that you're working with and the pastoralists. And in the beginning of your talk, you were saying that they thought FGM was a good thing. They celebrated it. They had a party. They'd say, well, guess what? You're going to be of age. You're going to get FGM. Like, this is a great thing. And it's actually not a great thing. So you have to change the mindset of the entire tribe from it's a great thing to no, it's not. This is mutilation and it doesn't need to be done. And that's a hard thing to do. And it takes years. It takes years to get that idea changed from it's an honor, it's a celebration, it's a tribal ceremony, it's a cultural ceremony, to no, don't you see what you're actually doing? You know, you're actually hurting these girls, and in fact, some might even be dying from it. And if not, you're creating violence on them for life. What's the situation in that area and in Kenya generally on underage birth and young girls getting pregnant without and having the male just disappear?
Okay, I can say also the issue of teenage pregnancies in Kenya is high, and the challenge we are facing in Kenya is lack of political goodwill from the elected leaders. You know, someone or an elected member or maybe an elected person once said that those girls who get pregnant in school should not go back to school. And we had to stand very firm and maybe tell him about the return to school policy in Kenya. And so what I can say about teenage pregnancies is it's still very, very high. As I said that Kenya and Africa is a patriarchal. So when anything happens to a woman, that is, it's not taken into account seriously. Maybe even at the court systems, it is not that much serious because we always try to put men first and leave the women behind. And so, particularly in my community, we are at 28% also prevalence of teenage pregnancies. And we want today to translate these statistics to figures and also numbers. So what do we mean? That in every 100 girls, 28 of them are getting pregnant. So, and to some extent, it is usually very hard for these girls to go back to school. And, we are trying to create a society whereby a woman will now fully depend on a man. And so this person is not fully empowered with knowledge. And you try to get that even the issues of further gender-based violence cases, they increase because this person is not aware. For women and girls who have gone to school, they understand their rights. Most of them will tell you, I know my rights. I'm not supposed to be beaten. I'm not supposed to be, I have the right to own property. But that is not the case with these young girls who drop out of schools because of teenage pregnancies. And it's so much sad because one day I was walking just randomly at home, and one of the girls saw me walking with a laptop bag, and that's not something that is common in my community. Just walking around in the village with a bag, people will think that you're a student. So one of them asked me, why are you always walking with this bag? And since I was using my laptop to demonstrate and also teach the young girls about the things that I do, I told her that I'm going to teach some girls in a certain school about the effects of FGM and also the impact and also the importance of education. And this girl happened to be a victim of teenage pregnancies. She got pregnant while young, and she was married. And right now she's a mother of around 5 children. And she told me, please go and talk to them, because if I get another chance to study, I will study until they tell me to stop. And so that triggered something in my mind and said, indeed, the life of these young girls is not the life that they thought of, and it's not a life that they desired. They are living lives of regret. Yeah. And that now also takes us back to mental health problems. This person will now, this person will now be thinking that I made the wrong decision. I make I'm a loser in life, and it's so much detrimental to them. Thank you so much, and back to you.
Yes, thank you. And it's interesting that the society is thinking about how can they, as rightly, allow the girls to be educated and go forward when they have a baby. I wonder if there's actually emphasis on teaching the males not to do that to begin with. Don't get young girls pregnant. What we don't see as much of is the campaign getting a lot of males in a room together, maybe with no females in the room, and say, you need to protect your society. You need to stop getting young girls pregnant, and when they do get them pregnant, maybe hold them accountable. The female knows who the male was. Go track him down. Go track him down and have him pay, and have him stand up and be a father to that child, the child that he's created. That's a genetic child. So there needs to be responsibility on the part of the male. There needs to be accountability, responsibility, and if more males are identified and told to pay for the baby, there may be less female pregnancies. Right now there's no accountability. There's no accountability at all, and the males just go off and do what they're doing. and the females have the child. So it's important to change the legal system so that the males are held accountable, financially accountable. And the minute that you have somebody financially accountable, that activity sometimes goes down, and not only financially accountable, but needs to have a role in that baby's life. So I think if you have males with required accountability for any offspring that male creates, then I think attitudes will change also. So now we have another incredible person here today who's going to be speaking with us. He's our great friend and someone who's been a wonderful Kektil supporter, Prince Zolani Mkiva. So we want to thank you for joining us today from South Africa. This is a wonderful blessing to us to have HRH Zolani with us. Are you able to get on camera, Zolani? Ah, there you are. Okay, wonderful. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Sherry, or it's good morning to you, and good afternoon to others who are elsewhere in the world. Thank you for having me, and I'm also excited to be part of.
It's always it's always a great pleasure when you come to join us at the Kektil program. We're so honored. We're very, very honored to have you. So for those of you who don't know HRH Zolani Mkiva, Prince Zolani, he has such an interesting background. He comes from a Xhosa tribe in South Africa. He's comes from a renowned line of orators and Mbangis, and he's a poet. He is known worldwide for his poetry and his storytelling. And he was so talented at being able to speak and tell stories and explain things through just the way he is able to speak, that he got a lot of attention in South Africa, to the point that he was so gifted that he was selected to be one of the people to celebrate Nelson Mandela when he was released from prison. And then spoke again at his inauguration, which led to him working with Nelson Mandela for over 14 years and going to speeches with him and talks with him and introducing him and learning from him and working with him for some of the issues that were going on in South Africa. And then Prince Zolani went on from there to become a leader in South Africa in his own right. He's been a member of the National Assembly of South Africa, and he has also been the Secretary General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders. So he has held very, very high positions in South Africa, and he's an advocate for peace. He's an advocate for male rights and female rights, and doing the right things and trying to find ways to modernize tribal cultures also, so that the best is saved. And some of these things that we're talking about are ways of the past. So it's with immense honor that we welcome Prince Zolani to be with us today. And I guess we'd maybe start out from what is the work that you're doing in South Africa? Tell us about what you're working with the Xhosa tribe and maybe other tribes. What do you see as issues that you think that need to be addressed and maybe the Kektil community should know more about?
Okay, thank you very much. Greetings to you, Sherry, in your capacity as the moderator, but also as the pioneer and the champion of this program. And I want to take this opportunity as well to extend my fraternal and warm greetings to your team that has put together this platform, which is very critical and important in mainstreaming the positive communication that we ought to be taking out there. But also all those that are in attendance, it's a great honor, singular honor, and a privilege for me to address you today. Of course, Sherry, my role remains that of the Secretary General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders in South Africa, which is a formation that advocates first and foremost for the unity of traditional leaders and their communities to speak from the same perspective in a united form, so that when we confront pandemics and challenges, in the country, we do so and we solve them once and for all. So that's the role. I'm at the center of that. I'm heading operations. I'm heading the strategic goals, which we execute as a nation through this instrument called the Congress of Traditional Leaders of South Africa, which in short is called CONTRALESA. We deal with everything that affects our communities. And we also come up to mainstream proposals for policy issues. But I'll tell you that we are one of the new states in Africa, new in the sense that South Africa has only been 31 years in its experience of a democratic state. We are now a united people under one constitution, one government. And that comes with its own new challenges. We are a country that upholds non-sexism and non-racialism. Because of the subject that we are talking about, I'm very interested to give you the perspective of what non-sexism can be interpreted by people from different perspectives. It's a very good thing that we have a policy that talks about non-sexism, because what it seeks to do is to ensure that we treat all gender in a form of equality. We are all equal before the law. We don't discriminate women because they are female, right? So non-sexism, it means all citizens are equal. Remember that there was no non-sexism 30 years ago in paper and in the constitution. But in practice, even now, even though we are a non-sexist society, we still have a great quantum of discrimination of women, gender-based violence, femicide. I wanted to give you specific figures. South Africa is number one globally on teenage pregnancy, right? But in the preamble of our constitution, we mainstream non-sexism. Now, there are contradictions that come with that as well. There are contradictions that come with that. I was listening to the conversation that you have before me. And I don't want to speak in a structured way so that we can sort of lift some key messages that we ought to foreground in this thing that we're talking about here today. Now, let me make an example of what people do in a democratic state which has got constitutionalism to confuse the situation and to create a pandemic and chaos. In the case of these pregnancies, in the past, there was a clear regulations and accountability that if you have damaged the body of the young woman, that you take responsibility, including the maintenance of the child. There was clarity. And that clarity comes from the positive cultural values of Ubuntu, which is the cornerstone of our cultural outlook as a people. But what democracy does sometimes is to negate the fundamentals of those values and begin to address the issue of mainstreaming positive values out of context. Because policy and policy framework needs to take cue from the culture of a people, especially the positive things. Now, I was listening with interest in what you are saying, and you are correct that there has to be accountability on the man who pregnant a woman. But you know what has happened in South Africa? People have gone to the apex court and said it takes two to tango. The man cannot be the only one who is responsible for the child. Because of the issues of non-sexism and misinterpreted inequality, they then say if the child has to be maintained, it should be 50-50. Some people even go to the extent of going to court to seek a court order that gives a clear declaration of the amount, and that amount has to be paid equally by both parties on 50-50 basis. I'm just making an example that if now you look at the disaster that we have, because teenage pregnancy is a disaster in South Africa, 122,000 teenage pregnancies. And those, and annum, just 2024. And those are the registered one. You go online, you will see and look for yourself on those statistics. But the major disaster on that is the fact that some children who are pregnant are 10 years old. More than 24,000 of them. They are 10-year-old young children pregnanted by males of different ages. Others are pregnanted by boys that are 15 years, 50 to 15 years. But others are raped and pregnanted by relatives. Others are pregnanted by strangers, and so on and so forth. That's why I call it a pandemic. How do you ensure accountability in that state of anarchy? So for me, I want to say that we must first accept our existential challenge and problem, that we have this pandemic. And then how do we deal with it? Let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to the basics and begin to say, like Guguni was saying, that the basic unity of our society is the family. Deal with the family structure. When I say deal with it, I'm saying that let's look at the role that the family can play, which it has always played. Because now families have outsourced their children from a point of view of discipline and behavior. They have outsourced them to the schools. How do you outsource your own children to the teacher? The teacher must actually take from a groundwork that has already been done by the family structure. So it's very important to say that we need to have a change of mindset as a society. That's the first point that I wanted to say, that at a family level, there has to be that informal education and consciousness that is given to the children and guide them and channel them in a manner that takes cue from the positive, cornerstones of Ubuntu. And we must be very open and very diplomatic as well culturally in terms of teaching the children about sexuality, about how they have to behave and how they must not discriminate themselves as boys and girls. See themselves as playing a role, but of course do indicate and plant the seed that there could be possibilities of a difference in terms of the workings, that girls have got certain responsibilities in the home front and the boys. The division of labor, what you call the division of labor, based on the masculinity and femininity. It's scientific, but also combining the wisdom of modernity and tradition. The two sides can never be separated. They are the two sides of the same coin. We have to move with time. We have to transform, which brings me to a sense that at a family level, we mustn't allow the continuation of the established rituals and cultural practices that are negative and regressive. Because there are cultural practices and rituals which are established. FGM is one of them, but there are more. There are cultural practices that a girl child somewhere in Africa, Zambia and Malawi, you can find this. There's a tradition which is called dust shaking. Then it means that a young girl, when she starts her menstruation, periods, at that age, they say she is ripe. And therefore, an identified uncle has certain rights to that girl to shake the dust from her.
Oh my gosh.
That is an established negative ritual which is regressive and primitive, which contradicts our cultural outlook of Ubuntu.
Oh, goodness.
Things like that ought to be condemned and they ought to be outlawed. Both from our unwritten constitution of our cultural communities, but also it must be outlawed in the constitution of constitutional provisions of the governance of our countries. I'm making an example with that one. These are part of the stereotypes that we must go all out and defeat, because they themselves are defeatist to our own humanity. They are projecting us wrongly as a people, and hence we must cut fingers and not scratch our heads and break our jaws when we confront them. We simply have to deal with them eyeball to eyeball. Let me also say that the family is linked to the community, and the community is linked to the nation, and the nation is linked to the global family as a whole. We must make sure that there's consistency in those relations. A child who comes from my family is also the child of the community. Therefore, the behavior of the parent as well, you mustn't look away when you see children doing something that is wrong and say that one is not my child. In our culture, any child is my child, and any parent is my parent. If we keep that as some of the fundamentals of our culture, then that's what is part and parcel of going back to our roots. There's no point for us to negate things that have helped our parents and grandparents to maintain order in our families and in our communities. We need to bring back those values. It's very critical and very important. Now, from community, we take our children to the schools. The schools should be areas where we cement the good behavior for our children. They should not be galleries of producing gang and gangsters. So it's important that we look into the syllabus and check if the syllabus that is actually upheld by schools, is it relevant? Is it still relevant? Or we need to relook into the syllabus, because children spend most of their hours at school more than they spend at home. So it's very important that they are not fed an irrelevant junk which does not help to systematize their minds and to make sure that their heart is at the right place on how to interface with society. In the case of South Africa, we have a syllabus which I always say as the Secretary General of the Congress of Traditional Leaders, that it is not only irrelevant, it is backward, and it does not talk to what we want to do in order to move on as a nation. And it needs a total overhaul. You can't afford to have a syllabus that talks above the heads of the students and their backs. Because when they come out of the university and they're done, they are a confused lot.
Yeah.
They are a bunch of confused lot. And this is not just a South African issue. It is an African challenge. It is a challenge also in other spaces globally. But because the totality of Africa inherited the syllabus of education from coloniality, so it was meant to program us to continue the colonial project which subjugated us. You know, that we act like idiots. That is why I say in the majority of cases, even the heads of state, some heads of state in Africa are bodyguards of coloniality. So the change of mind ought to come as well from the level of leadership. It is not only the people who must change the mind. The so-called leaders also must change the mind. Actually, we need leaders, not politicians. Right now, we have politicians running society. But what is needed is leadership. Now, this is another aspect I hope I'm not going over.
No,
Yeah.
we're so blessed to hear everything you want to say. Please continue.
Yeah, this is another thing. Thank you for being generous. I also want to say, Sherry, promiscuity is being promoted in the mass media.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a major money spinner. Promiscuity makes more money than casinos.
Yeah.
And the media platforms which have been created, including the latest models of media, which is called social media. If you can have time and make an audit of what is actually posted in Instagram, X, Facebook, you name it. It's horrible. The so-called content creators are giving us a content that is not making us better humanity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're giving us content that is actually eroding our very humanity. It's worse for nations that have endured oppression, repression, and suppression for decades and decades to actually embrace an attitude where they are given a platform for communication, but they are busy creating content which is not helping to change their existential realities. For me, there's nothing wrong with social media. It's good, but it must be used for goodness in terms of the content that goes there. Because if it is used in the manner that it is used now, it is no different from drugs and drug abuse. It has actually become a major drug abuse, which is making our people idiots in what they post on TikTok. It has created citizens of TikTok that cannot think straight, where people do challenges that do not add value for our growth. We need to have challenges that make us to say we start to produce things in Africa with the wealth that we have. And I think it is a combination of all of those factors, because some of these things are driven by the state of poverty, unemployment, underdevelopment, and inequality. How do we confront those challenges of inequality? Are we going to solve them by doing challenges that are just about laughing, that we are creating comedy and making a laughing stock of ourselves with the content that we're creating? And even the serious issues that affect ourselves here of teenage pregnancies and FGMs, other people are making it a laughing matter. And yet it is subjugating our children and women. No, we need to change. We need to stop this trajectory. And I think Cactil, with this public positive discourse of a platform that is meant to impact in terms of mindset, education, but also to fight off negative things in the public domain, but also in the private spaces. Because there is a lot of badness which is happening in the private spaces. So what we do at this level must cascade down even to those pigeonholes that are doing dirty works. We cannot afford a society that is becoming a low-down dirty shame. It is time for us to come to the fore and have a breast-beating bravado that these things must not happen in our name. And that is what I stand for, and that is what we stand for. Thank you very much, Sherry.
Wow, what a beautiful message. What a beautiful message. I was seeing the comments saying, I agree with you, I agree with you. And you're right, that we're being polluted by the content that we're seeing, that we're reading. The social media is creating role models for females, which are wearing the wrong kinds of clothes, wearing they try to look like the models that you see on on Facebook, social media, Instagram, TikTok, and they just get worse and worse in terms of what the role model is. And then the young, of course, it could be that the male sees a female who is dressed like that and considers it an invitation, and then the child who's 12 years old the head is not even mature yet. Then gets pregnant, as you said, and that there's a lack of accountability. It's interesting that you say that the accountability should be on the male and the female. I think that's probably true. It is true. The accountability has gone so far to the young girl who gets the baby, because she is sitting there with a physical baby and she has a maternal instinct. She's going to take care of the baby, hopefully, or her family will. And the male just goes off into the dark and is never seen again, and there's no accountability. The statistics that you have raised are shocking, because then first of all, what happens to all those babies who are born of the young girls who are the young unwed mothers who don't have enough support? What happens to all these little children? Are they going into orphanages? Who is raising them? Are they being raised properly? Probably not. They're probably not being raised properly. So then you're creating an entire society of babies who are not well trained for a good society, who are not healthy, who are probably going to be mentally ill as they grow up because of the situation that they were born into. And then you have the young girl who had the baby who didn't know how to be a mother. She doesn't even know how to be a child yet, and she certainly doesn't know how to be a mother, and doesn't know how to provide for them. I'm really shocked by the statistics that you gave. I didn't realize that South Africa had the highest number. Can you please mute that? Yes, thank you. Okay. So it's what do you do with all the young babies that are being born without a father, maybe without a mother? And what's your society, if you take that trajectory out 20 years, 50 years, what does your society look like with all those numbers of unwed children who are not getting trained properly? It's, as you said, it's a pandemic. I love the word, calling it a pandemic. It's much worse than COVID. It's the worst form of COVID, the worst form of pandemic. And if you run out the trajectory to 20 years or 50 years, what does society look like with those kinds of numbers?
Yeah, it's big numbers indeed. And the policy framework doesn't help as well. I will come to that policy framework just to give you a sense of what happens in the case of my country as an example. We don't have a system and a method to track and trace as to what happened to those children and what happens to the mothers of those children who are children themselves.
Yeah.
So it depends the background of the family of each and every one of them. So there's no profiling that gets done, but we have a department which is called the Department of Social Development, which ought to be following up on these issues. Obviously, with a great amount of children in that magnitude, they would be overstretched. It's too much, too many. So the social workers would not be able to actually cover everyone. But if the children are registered, let's say at birth, they have a birth certificate and so on and so forth, the Department of Social Development put those children on a social grant system where the money then goes to the mother of each of those children to maintain those children on a month-to-month basis. And the government is providing that money. And we spend a lot of money in that respect. We cover almost about 21 million people who are on the social grant system. And the great number of them are these young people. For each and every child that you give birth to, if you come from the poor background, the state pays monthly. That also has another repercussions. And it is one of the things that has actually created the disaster. It actually propels it as well.
Yeah.
And what
I would say the same thing. That happens
Yeah.
in the United States even
Yeah,
because
and what
it,
propels it further? I'm happy that you say it is happening as well in a first world country like the States,
yeah,
because that's where people also take policies that they think are good policies and they import them and they bring it to our situation, and it is applied wrongly because it is delinked from the design of living of the people. Because when you bring a policy framework that contradicts the way you live, it creates a problem, a big problem. Let me tell you how it creates a problem. The social development pays that money to the mother of the child, even if that mother of the child is underage.
yeah,
She cannot handle money. And you
Right.
know, when she receives the money, what does she do with the money? She goes to the salon
yeah,
to
yeah,
make her hair.
yeah,
And then from the salon, she goes to the tavern. And in the
Yeah.
tavern, she gets pregnant again.
yeah, exactly. That's what
So,
in the
so
United
the
States.
parents absorb
Yeah.
the pressure. The parents and grandparents absorb the pressure of actually looking after the children, because a child by nature would not have the capacity to take care of another child.
Right, right.
So the policy is wrong. The money should be going to the elder in the family
Mm.
for a person who is a parent at underage.
Mm.
Now
Yeah.
it becomes a vicious cycle. You have children who are at the age of 23, they already have 3 children. Others are chasing now that money. Now others are chasing that money because if you have 3 children, you get 3 social grants.
Mm.
That's the silliness of the policy that is
Yeah.
not well applied and well implemented.
Yes, and we have, as I said, we have people in the United States, unwed mothers who have children on purpose to increase the amount of social welfare they get, and they live on social welfare, and they can't wait to have more unwed children because their check gets bigger, and then they can take that money and do whatever they want, as you said, and that's a big problem. And it also doesn't involve the male. There is a father of that child, there's a father, and the father needs to be identified and not in a, well, depending on the circumstances, needs to be identified, needs to be accountable.
Now, can you imagine if the father of that child, if they were to go to court and say the money must not only be given to the mother of the child, because we are both responsible. So they would make a demand that they must have the fair share of the grant.
Yeah, or the court should say, you're the father, so you're going to pay the money that goes to the mother.
Yeah. So these are some of the
instead
things
of-
then that
yeah.
I think we need to help society to build a well thought through policy. A well thought through policy
Yes.
that should be very relevant, and that should be a solution.
Yes. You can't benefit from bad conduct. You should not
Absolutely.
benefit from bad conduct, and not
Yeah.
multiple bad conduct. Yeah, there are all kinds of schemes out there, and the scheme should not involve having a child, bringing a child into the world for you to make money. And then, as we said, the societies haven't really tracked the large scale effect of so many unwed of babies born in this situation. They're probably not educated properly. They're not raised properly. They're probably not wanted. If you're not wanted as you're growing up, then you could become violent yourself. You're acting out. You have to get attention. So you need attention. So you go do something wrong. So anybody will take care of you, or anybody will even just look at you or notice you. Or you go to drugs, or you go to addiction. And that problem will just perpetuate itself. So it's a huge issue that Kechtel's trying to deal with. I know you're trying to deal with it. Michael's trying to deal with it. We need more leaders who are willing to stand up and say, this is one of the biggest problems right now, globally, I think. And that's why we're doing this Male as Promise Keepers campaign. And we're asking males to take a pledge that either they will walk away and not get a young girl pregnant if they're not willing to support her and the family, and that they will also help from violence against women. We haven't heard yet from, we have some colleagues here from Papua New Guinea. We have people here from other countries on this call today, where there's just shocking violence against females, and femicide and just random killings, just for the purpose of just, you know, getting out your anger or killing someone because you've had a bad day. And there's a lot of that going on also. So Kektil is, you know, wants to do its part to try to get this message out, and we're glad we have wonderful leaders like you and like Michael who are incredible orators. You have the gift of speech, and you could tell everyone was just hanging on every word that you have to say about this. And in doing that, you bring the message home. You bring the message home, and train these youth leaders who are on this call today, and maybe trigger something in their mind that they can do to help. And one thing, as you know, we have the pledge that we ask males to give. And Goharak, if you can share screen, maybe you can see we're in the process of our campaign is a campaign, and we're having on Kektil.com and KektilColleagues.com, we're asking males to step up and make the pledge. In previous years, we've already had several thousand males make this pledge for male as promise keepers. And so we're starting it all over again, and we're trying to get 2,000 males to sign this pledge this year. If Goharak, or if someone can show that would be great.
Just a minute.
Okay. And then we want.
Okay, can I just say this
Yes,
as my last point, which I think you have to consider. There is a major abuse of alcohol as well in our society. Just to make an example, in December in South Africa, for a period of 10 days, we spent 10 billion between the 20th of December and the 30th of December.
My goodness.
10 billion rands on alcohol consumption only. And I'm talking about our communities, our poor communities.
Wow.
Now, alcohol is a major driver of some of these things.
Yeah.
When people are drunk or when people are high on drugs, alcohol is a major, because look at what happens when people are in these clubs or they come back from those clubs. So please, in your attendance to this, we need to look at a campaign of drinking responsible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. That would be
that's very true. We have a entire module on mental health, and it deals with the issues of addiction and drinking too much, and these other kinds of problems, drugs, drinking, addiction to anything really, and it's causing mental health. But drinking and drinking also hurts your body, you know. Okay, where's our pledge here? Okay, so this is the pledge, and you can go to Kektil.com or KektilColleagues.com. I just want to show you the pledge, and then I want to open it up to any of our participants who would like to speak with our wonderful speakers, or ask a question, or make a comment. But I love Zelani's comments about the fact that the schools are not training. We cannot delegate raising children to the schools. It begins in the home. This is a very, very complicated issue. Okay, so where's the pledge? There it is. Okay. If you go up to the top. No, the top of the pledge, not the top of that. See, it scrolls. Yeah. Okay. So it says the Malmar Knowles Family Foundation and the Kektil program are excited to announce. No, this is okay. We call for males to take the following pledge. Okay. So when you see a female you find attractive, you must ask yourself this very important question. If I'm with this female and she gets pregnant, would I be willing to take care of her and the baby with a full commitment? If the answer is no, put your hands in your pocket and walk away. That's number one. Number 2, I agree not to hit or physically attack a female. 3, I agree to keep my eyes open as a biological protector of society and the community and use my genetically given instinct to protect and safeguard all females in my community. Number 4, if I identify situations in which a female is at risk, I will try to take reasonable steps to help wherever possible. I will not stand by and allow violence against a female to occur. And 5, I will take steps to prevent youth pregnancy. I understand that if a male gets a young female pregnant, it can destroy her life with little adverse effect on him. This is wrong. Okay, I will work against and oppose male and female cultural mutilation. I will encourage other males to take the Kektel Promise Leaders Pledge. I will stand with my courageous brothers around the world to achieve the goals of Kektel Male as Promise Keepers. So that's a pledge. We want to invite everyone who's on the phone to go to either Kektel.com or KektelColleagues.com and give that pledge. So we can stop sharing now. Gohar? Okay, and happy to open it up if anyone on the call has any comments, anything you want to tell us about your country. We'd love to hear from some people in Papua New Guinea, Afghanistan. We've got Peru. We've got Ronald here from Peru. We've got people from all over. I don't know, Azim, would you like to talk a little bit about what's going on in Pakistan?
Yeah, Sherry, thank you. Thank you so much. In Pakistan, as Prince Solani mentioned, the social media is not good for the youth, for the young people. So in Pakistan, almost 80% of the youth is using the social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And what they are facing, they are starting the relationship with some anonymous person and fall in love. And after that, the consequences, you can say, very bad consequences that fear their family and those individuals. So I think the parents should do some check and balance and control their kids to avoid the social media. But at least if they are giving the phone or the social media to their kids and their young teenage kids, so they should some check and balance on them, what they are doing, what they are messaging, whom to are messaging they are. So this is something that parents need to control in respective to the social media. The rest of regarding the condition of the woman, Pakistan is a male dominant society. So here we can see many females are doing their jobs in the textile sector, because the textile sector is one who are the very economically participated in the Pakistan's economy. So in textile sector, the male and the female, they are working together, but the males are really they are not behaving very good to the women, because they think this sector is only for males, but females are educating and they are doing their jobs, that they are doing their specialties in the textiles. So many times I saw the men who are abusing the women. Why? This is not your field. Why you are doing over here? The textile sector is not for you. Go into the bank, go into the schools, and so do some lectures and be a teacher. So the textile is not good for you. So this discrimination is not good. I think if female is much encouraged and much motivated and she have expertise in that specific area, they should go for it, despite of the males and females discrimination.
Okay, thank you. That's very interesting, and it points out the difference in the acceptance of females in certain industries over other industries, and that's not appropriate, and that could lead to abusive situations against females, which is not appropriate. We need to say goodbye to our wonderful, excellent speaker, Prince Solani Makiva. He has another appointment to attend to. But thank you for your beautiful oration today about the issues that we're talking about. We want to stay connected with you as we have the Mail as Promise Keepers campaign all year. So we know that HRH Solani has to leave us, and I think Guguni has to leave us. However, we will continue here for a while to take discussion and questions. I'd love to hear from any of the Kektil colleagues who on this Zoom call about what happens in their countries. Is anybody willing to raise their hand and describe what's happening and what Kektil should be doing to deal with these issues of young marriage and male accountability for bringing babies into this world, as well as violence against females? Yes. Kelvin, please tell us where you're from and give us your comments.
Good afternoon, morning to others in the world. This is Mambo Kelvin. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, where are you from?
I'm from Zambia.
Okay, yes, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's been a very insightful program so far from the time I joined. Of course, I'm hearing from the presenters, Michael and Prince. What they have brought on board is actually very, very important, and this is a major issue, actually, major issues that almost every country in the whole world is facing. Bringing it back here in Zambia. Recently, we've had a wave of defilement cases, a situation where a parent is defiling their own child. Yeah, to some extent, you bring this to illiteracy because once these cases are investigated, you get to hear that, no, this person went to a witch doctor. Then the witch doctor told them to say, no, they should sleep with their child and then they will be rich. So you get to wonder how some of these parents are thinking, because a child's protection really lies in the parent. Now, if the father is unable to protect their child, how then are we going to move forward? So it's really a big issue here in Zambia. Cases have really escalated. We keep on hearing about such issues every single day, and it's really alarming. We just hope the government really steps in to stiffen the punishment for the ones who are found wanting. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, thank you for bringing that to our attention. That is horrifying. It's just horrifying. And how would anyone not know, just even on a personal level, that that's wrong? That's incest within the family, which is condoned by a doctor. That sounds just horrifying. Okay, so that's something we have to work against. Yes, and so this is RC Dowd Bashir. Do you have a comment, and where are you calling in from? Dowd Bashir, would you like to speak? You're on mute.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon and good morning, depending on where you are. Yeah, I'm Dawood Abdurrahman Bashir. I'm a Sudanese, but I was a refugee in Ghana, but currently I'm studying in Kenya. And when I heard about this topic, I was really concerned about this because I witnessed so many. I've seen a lot myself in the communities where I was being raised, young girls being raped. Some of them used to be my friend. They shared a lot of stories which were very painful with me. But growing up, and as young as I was, I couldn't, take any action. So as a result of that, I grew up with the passion to, protect the girl child in any way that I can. So I really appreciate everyone for sharing this. I really learned a lot, especially from South Africa. I didn't know much about that in South Africa, because looking at South Africa and the way things are moving, I never thought of all this kind of violence could exist there. So yeah, I think we need to stand, and it's a very good initiative that our dear chairperson, Her Excellency Cherry took.
Okay, I think we can take this off. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for your comments. I know there's a lot of work to be done in Sudan. So please spread the word. And people connected, as Kuguni said, we're running a podcast series on Males Promise Keepers. You could have people listen to that, have them sign up for the pledge. And we really want to start a tsunami of action here. And,
Yeah,
Kek's not afraid to address very sensitive subjects and to speak properly about them and to speak out. So we're happy to be a mouthpiece on this.
that's great. Thank you so much. And let's pray to see a world where everyone is living freely without any violence. Thank you so much.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. Great questions and comments. Jackson Natini.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Sherry. So this is Jackson Tini from Kenya, and I come from the same community with Michael, our speaker. And so the things that he talked about, I just want to confirm that they are so real. Female genital mutilation and gender violence in the Maasai community, specifically in Kenya, it's really, really on, on the rise. And at least there is some hope because many organizations, the government and the church are really playing a big role in ensuring that we try to deal with these problems at hand. And that is why from the figures that he gave, the gender-based violence and the FGM is coming down. So there is some good work that is going on, and platforms like this to campaign against gender-based violence and sensitizing us men to take responsibility and protect our women, our sisters, and all that. It's really going to help, and I'm sure in the future there will be success. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you. So now we'll go to Imiswali.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is William Sulua from Nigeria. Yeah, concerning our country, what the value embrace mostly is money. So even at a tender age of 16, 15, 14, they believe that if they don't have money, nobody is going to see them or appreciate them. Sometimes I wonder, why will 14-year-old be interested in money? Do you want to start building houses where you are 14? So they don't care any way they could get this money, either illegally. So most of them go in the illegal way, whereby I don't know if you heard news like the ritual killings. Mostly mostly served is done by the youth around the age of 15 to 30 something. So it is because I think they should work on, like, talk to the youths. What value really is not money. If they can actually digest that initiative, that it is not about you having that huge money, that's what matters a lot. So if they should understand that, maybe it will reduce the way they kill ladies for money. I think that is where it matters to me in this topic. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Money drives everything, doesn't it? Yeah. Is there anyone else who has a question or has a comment? Anyone else? Well, I see Ronald here from Peru. He's a board member from Peru. Ronald, can you just tell us what's the situation in Peru regarding unwed mothers and the kinds of things we're talking about today? I see you're on mute, but if you could get off, yeah. Ronald? I don't know. He may not be able to get on. Okay. Let's see is anyone on from Papua New Guinea? Okay, are there any other I'd say Ahmad, you're here from Pakistan as well as Afghanistan. would you like to make a comment? Ahmad, are you able to speak?
I think Ahmad has connection issues.
Oh, he does. Okay. Okay. So here is Izukanji Wandia, but we'd love to hear from you. Would you like to speak? You have your hand up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mwandia Izukanji. I'm calling in from Zambia. And I would like to comment on I did not get to hear the entire thing, but I just joined halfway as Mr. Zaleni was speaking. The issue is really, really bad in Zambia, where this new policy of teenage pregnancy is helping people with grants. I work in a pharmacy in a local area in Kawama, in Kitwe. And recently I've been seeing a lot of underage girls coming to test for pregnancies with their spouses. And it's really saddening to see that an 18-year-old, 16-year-old is trying to get pregnant so that they can have a grant.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the government is helping the situation by paying people to get pregnant, because now that's how it's become. It's like
Yeah.
they're paying you to become pregnant,
Mhm.
which is not good. And it's really scary because I grew up in a family where my father was not responsible and I had to be raised by my grandmother. So you see children growing up with a gap where there's no father figure to guide them, especially the male children. There's no father figure to guide them. So they basically get to lack on a lot of things. So as Capital members, I really think this is something that this is a campaign that we really need to go hard on. And if we don't go hard on it, 20, 30 years from now, we'll have a very emotionally unstable and broken generation.
That's terrible. We were talking, it's a really great point. We were talking about what's the effect of the government subsidizing these babies, and the answer is you get more babies. Yeah, there was a book called Freakonomics. I don't know if any of you have read this, but Freakonomics talks about unexpected effects of financial policy, money policy. And this seems like one of them. And as I said, we see this even in the United States. You get welfare payments if you have a child and you can't afford the child. So women will have multiple children so that they can get more welfare payments. And that's, and that leads to major problems for those babies. It's a problem for society because she's multiplying children who are clearly not being taken care of, not loved, not raised, not nurtured, not trained. And we're seeing an outpouring of this in the world, which is just terrifying. It's terrifying, actually. It's heartbreaking and it's terrifying. And that's why KECTL needs to step in, and that's why we're having this Mail as Promise Keepers campaign. Okay, so I'll give a last call for anyone else who would like to make a comment. I'll give a second, and then if not, then we'll close it out. Okay. This is from Valentina Aloni. Yes, would you have a comment?
Yes, I'm from Peru, and today I'm gonna talk about the political and social reality of Peru today. So good morning or afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. Today I would like to talk about current political and social reality in Peru that reflects the deep challenges that we continue to face in this year and last year also. In recent years, Peru has been marked by the cycle of political instability. We have witnessed the succession of several presidents in a short period of time, each administration plagued by allegation of corruption mismanagement and erosion of public trust. Political divisions have widened, institutions can be weakened, and the spirit of democracy has been put to the test. Instead of leaders working together for the common good, personal interests and power struggles have been often prevailed. And Peru is a country of contrasts. We have a rich cultural heritage, but poor people. Natural resources, but no job opportunities, and joyful energy, but we don't have like the support to continue working every day. There is inequality remains and painful issues about quality education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. They are like a drain for everyone here because we don't have like the ways to maybe, I don't know, have like a quality education because our economic status. Also, this is harder for people who live in rural and marginalized communities. The pandemic exposed these inequalities even further because not everybody could access to, I don't know, remote education because we all do not have like the property, I don't know, cell phone or laptops to access to this education that was maybe by TV also, but the education by TV was really, really poor. However, these challenges, there's also a hope because in this year and last year across the community, young people are standing up by regional organizations and ONGs, demanding transparency and real change. Indigenous voices are louder than ever. That's something that really makes us to be happier than last year and fighting for the rights and for the preservation of our environment. Civil society organizations, students, workers, and everyday citizens are reclaiming their roles as the true backbone of democracy. But something that really worried me, and I think young people are also worried about this, but how Peruvian citizens choose their, I don't know, our presidents and our political representation because it's something that we need to investigate. We need to investigate about how this person are being, I don't know, educated, what are their plans, what is the ideology also, because there's a lot of ideologies right now, and we don't know we can trust like every ideology of maybe the last 10 years. There's an ideology and today could be different. So we need to check about it. So I think the main problem in Peru, despite social and problems that all my and all people in this room said, I think in Peru the main problem today is political. The politic is something that we need to really decide every 4 years. It is something that always asks. So the main solution for this is to communicate to all young people how to react about this, how to be informed about this, and how to make a really, really true and good decision for all of us. Because we can trust a person who is sit on a throne or maybe sit on a palace saying and talking and not saying what is happening in our world, in our country day by day. So we need to focus on informating people, informating young leaders, informating teenagers, informating old ladies and everyone here that the change is not gonna be just for the young people. The change is for everybody here. And if we want to have like a better lifestyle, like a better life for our future, I don't know, children, or for our future, I don't know, everybody in Peru, we have to consider that politics is not only for people to know how to, I don't know, debate or something like that. It's for all of us. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for your comments. And, KECTL is going to be having a local conference in Peru this year, the very first time we've ever gone to Peru. It's going to be in August of this year. I'm actually going to be there in person. And we're going to invite attendees to join. And so please watch out for that announcement. And I know Ronald and Danarin, who are board members, are helping to organize this conference. It's going to be in the first week in August. So please do your best to attend the first in-person KECTL meeting in Peru, and let's talk about all these issues pertaining to the government and instability and corruption and everything else. And I see Ronald has joined. And Ronald, would you like to say something both about the conference coming up as well as the issues we're talking about today?
Yes, well, thanks everyone. Thanks for the invitation, Sherry. And well, this subject is very important for all young people, male or female. We have to care about each other. Thanks, Valentine, for your words. Also want to invite for the Peru conference in August. It will be 8, and we are preparing all the best for you.
Yes. So the 3 KECTL conferences this year are going to be in Armenia, in Peru, and in Ghana. So the Armenia conference is in just 2 weeks. We're very excited about that. I'm personally flying to Armenia. I've never been to Armenia before, so I'm very excited about that. Never been to that part of the country, that part of the world. And so for those of you who will not be able to attend the Armenian conference, which will be most of you, it's going to be given live on YouTube. So you can go to the YouTube channel, KECTL YouTube channel. And this is going to be on the 16th and 17th. Let me see, let me just check my dates. It's going to be, on the 16th and 17th of May. So it's coming up in 2 weeks. I fly out in 2 weeks to Armenia. It'll be and the conference will take place in 3 weeks. So watch for that. And you can get all of the content of 2 days of KECTL, very, very intense panels. You can watch them live for free on YouTube. Okay, then we'll be going to Peru. Excited about that. First time we've ever had a local conference in Peru. And then we'll be going to Ghana the second week in August. So keep those in mind. And all of them will be carried live on our KECTL YouTube channel. Okay, well, we've had a wonderful, really intense discussion today. I think each one of us has personal responsibility to move this issue forward. You start by going to KECTL.com and take the Mail as Promise Keepers pledge. And note that the Mail as Promise Keepers pledge is mostly for males because it's the males who are taking the pledge. And then on the also, then you want to go into your communities. You can either go to KECTL.com, you can go to KECTLcolleagues.com, but start thinking deeply about these issues and what can you do in your society to start talking about spreading the word about young females getting pregnant, and what is the right policy. And obviously male accountability, male financial accountability is very important. We've talked today about the state paying the females. Well, the state shouldn't be paying the females. The males should be paying the females. They're the father. And not only should they step up to pay, but they should step up to be part of the life of that child so that we're not raising children who have mental illness problems because they have no father. Could you imagine growing up, never maybe even knowing who your father was because you had a teenage mother who bore you from one of these situations? That's devastating, and you're behind the mark to begin with if you're born in that situation. Don't allow that to happen in your community. Don't allow it to happen in your country. We're KECTL youth leaders. We've banded together over 4,000 fantastic leaders from developing countries all over the world. We actually can make a difference. We have the numbers. We're building up enough numbers to get these kinds of critical messages out, and to slowly change the tide of society. And we're working our hardest to do that. So please be part of our effort. Please sign up for the pledge. Please have your male friends sign up for the pledge, start talking about it locally, and start listening to the podcasts and get involved. This campaign will be going on throughout 2025. Our goal is to get 2,000 males to sign the pledge. So let's start today and get that done. We'd like to thank all of our organizers today. I know Azim did a lot of work on this. Thank you very much, Azim, for your hard work in organizing. Gohar is working on this. Gaguni, who is gone, who had to leave, he's worked hard on it. We want to thank our wonderful speakers, Prince Alani Makiva and Michael Kishoan, for their incredible, insightful, and actually very disturbing comments about what's happening in their countries. And I know Ahmed also worked hard on this webinar. So KECTL wants to be the forum where we're not afraid to talk about really intense issues and actually not afraid to do something about them. I think this is the platform where youth leaders in developing countries all over the world have the most freedom to express their views. We have a Pasco protected website. We want to hear from you. We want action. Stay involved. Okay. Watch our Armenian 2-day local meeting on our YouTube channel. It's going to be really exciting and packed with intense discussions. Okay. So I'm wishing you a great week. We hope to have your participation on our podcast series, on our YouTube series, on our website, and of course, with our Mail as Promise Keepers campaign. So thank you very much. Have a great week. And thanks to everyone who participated to make this a big success. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye.